For everyone born in the 1980s, you had the land before time, and that was Bruce Irvin, 36 years old, coming fresh off the couch, and he's contributed in a pretty decent way, I must admit. And then a little later on, we had the land before time too, and that was Tyson Alualu, and he has not yet played in a game for the Detroit Lions. And could it be possible that we complete the trifecta with the Land Before Time 3? From what I understand, there were a magnitude of these movies, so maybe the Detroit Lions will add even more as we make this playoff run. But with the signing of Melvin Ingram to the Miami Dolphins, there's not too many people left. Now, there is a guy that just came up, and I know what you guys are going to say, but allow me to retort after I bring in this information. And that is coming from Adam Schefter. Says, Panthers are releasing four-time Pro Bowl linebacker Justin Houston per source. Houston wants to play again this season, but only for a contender. Now, I know what you're saying. Again, another dinosaur, right? This guy, and we're going to bring in his stats, and I'm going to show you exactly what he has been doing in his career thus far. Let's bring those stats in. Here is Justin Houston. Now, he's younger than both Tyson and Bruce, coming in at 34 years of age. Now, you might see right here that he is on injured reserve, drafted in 2011, third round, and was the 70th pick overall. I want to say Bruce was a first pick. So you might say, okay, he has half a sack on the season. That's because he was actually placed on injured reserve right before the trade deadline and has not been activated to the 53-man roster yet. So I'm not really sure how this thing would work for the Detroit Lions or any other team. Obviously, he still can play, but you can see he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. And the sad thing is he was there the entire time up until their Super Bowl run. Then he spent 2 years in Indianapolis, and then 2 years in Baltimore, and then went to Carolina. If we look at his sack total, he had 22 sacks in 2014. He is coming off a 9.5 sack season, and again, only has the half a sack in those 7 games, with his last game being over a month ago. So the Detroit Lions could, take a flyer on this guy, see what's up. I don't know what the injured reserve rules are. Obviously, this is my guess as to why he didn't get reactivated. I think that he had a hamstring injury and was placed on injured reserve. So what I think happened is, as the Carolina Panthers start losing over and over and over, he just was like, you know what? I'm not in a rush to come back. So the 4 weeks pass, right? He's able to come back pretty much the beginning of December. And I think he just waited it out. And when they of course, the Panthers, their time was already done by then. And now it didn't say if he requested to be released, but he is released nonetheless. So as of the making of this video, I know sometimes they put that he's released, and then Ian Rappaport will say he's been waived, and then Tom Pelissero will say something else. So right now he's been released, which means that he can sign with anybody he wants to. But again, I'm assuming if he's on IR, he's not on, because he's not on the team, right? So if he is released, he would come off of IR, if I'm understanding that correctly. I didn't think to research that before I hit record, but I would assume that that's the case, because you spent the 4 weeks, right? So now that team, if you wanted to return to that team, they would have to open your 21-day window and either sign you to the active roster or waive you, right? So I think that my opinion is that, based on the tweet from the last part of that tweet from Adam Schefter, my opinion is that he asked for his release, because we're talking about a 2-12 team, first pick in the draft, which obviously is going to Chicago, but wants to play again this season, but only for a contender. This part right here is why I think that this was a request by him. Now, should the Detroit Lions do this? Yes. At this point, anybody we can get. And I know what you guys are going to say. James Houston is going to come back. We don't know that. We do not know if James Houston is going to return to the active roster. His 21-day window has not opened. Dan Campbell was not that certain on if he was going to return. We did a video about that last week. And right now we have 3 games left. His 21-day window would have to open tomorrow for him to even come back by the last game, right? And then head into the playoffs. So the longer that goes on, the less likely we are to see a James Houston return to the Detroit Lions. But we can get a Houston to replace a Houston. And, you know, I know we look at what the person has done this season, but the dude is coming off 9.5 sacks last season. The year before that, 4.5, 8, 11.5. So there's a multitude of reasons why he might only had half a sack. But here's what I want you guys to understand. We are going on a playoff run. Literally anybody would help us at this point. I know that somebody said I was on a podcast. No, it was during the call-in show, the post-game show after the Detroit Lions win on Sunday. And one of the callers said, our team is what it is. This is our team. So the trade deadline is passed. Pretty much nobody's going to get cut, right? So at this point, anybody that can add some depth and possibly some, especially the pass rush, I'm going to take a look at, right? And it does not appear that age is not a problem for Brad Holmes. We got 2 36-year-old people on the roster. One is about to get moved to the active roster, and one is going to get probably, I don't know what they're going to do with Tyson, but here's the thing. As I said yesterday, I think I got a video coming out later today about we have 51 players on the active roster with 2 spots available, right? So but we got a lot of people that could come back. They were talking about open up the practice window for a certain 2 players coming up this week. So I don't know if the Detroit Lions would even entertain this. But if I'm Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, I'm at least having a conversation about it because we are going on a run. And after seeing what Bruce Irvin is able to do and knowing that there's nothing else that's going to happen, whatever is going to happen for the Detroit Lions pass rush is going to have to wait until this offseason and the NFL draft, right? So at this point, yes, if anyone gets cut that has a place on a spot like on our team, then yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at him. And I mean, he got something left in the tank, right? He coming off IR. And like I said, I think that he wasn't in a rush. He wasn't in a rush to come out. So my thing is this. Okay, you got a guy coming off IR. Probably not in football shape either. Now, like I said, I don't know if the Detroit Lions are going to do this. I don't even know. Like I said, I don't know the protocol of any of this stuff. But if I'm able to do this and I'm Dan and Brad, I'm at least kicking the tires. I'm at least having a conversation because we are trying to make a run. And unlike many of you, I feel like that this is a prime opportunity. The Philadelphia Eagles lost last night. Okay, so although the 1 seed is a long shot, that 2 seed is right there. And the 2 seed is not a bad place to be because you're talking about 2 guaranteed home games and an outside shot to host the NFC title game. So I would much rather be at number 2 than number 3. And if Justin Houston, I was going to call him Jason, if Justin Houston can come and help us out, especially if we're not going to get James back, then sign me up, man. Sign me up. Do whatever you need to do. And then again, you'll have Bruce Irvin and Justin Houston. We don't know what's happening with James. So I'm like, listen, sign me up, kick the tires, see what's up. Let's go on this run, man. Let's take advantage of being where we are and try to make the most of this year. I'm not saying that we are going to the Super Bowl, but you never know, man. If we get that 2nd seed, because real talk, if we get that 2nd seed, we got a legit chance. We got to get past 7. Then we'll host the higher seed, whoever remains, at Ford Field. That place is going to be off the charts, right? And then if the right set of things happen, if that number 1 seed drops in the divisional round, then guess who's hosting the NFC title game? Crazy, right? So sign me up. I hope at least we're looking into this to get all the help we can get. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.